And we are live.
Okay, peace, prosperity, salutations. You're rocking with another week of Real Life, Real Talk with Brother John, myself, Yarima Karama. I hope that everybody is having a splendid week. I hope that everybody's month has been good. I hope that everyone is actually doing some living as opposed to just surviving. We were not just put on this planet to survive and pay taxes and die. We were actually put here to do some living, to explore this vast planet that governments around the world seem intent on destroying, but we, the people, have the ability to change that because we far outnumber them. So I hope that everyone is doing well. Brother John, how are you?
Hey man, I'm doing good, bro. I know the people are here to thrive and whatnot, but I tell you, bro, it seems like we're fighting a losing battle, man. For some reason, people just ain't catching up. They just ain't getting the drift quick enough.
Yeah, it's I think that there is a small group and it's starting to increase, not exponentially, but it's increasing nonetheless of people that are waking it up and at least starting to question. The
Yeah,
problem is that I think we're so far past the questioning stage. We should have been questioning the government and probably 1776 at the inception of its independence is when we should have started questioning the government at that point and then started acting on those things that were found to be facetious. However, we know as we as Black people, we had no say in any of that. So
yeah,
uh, at least the framers of the Constitution and those who followed those framers, they should have held one another accountable. And so, because that didn't happen, here we are in 2025. People losing homes, people going homeless on a daily basis, people wondering where their next meal is going to come from. And then you have that small class of people that are actually thriving
yeah,
and
the
who are
1%.
heartless. Yeah, they're very heartless in how they look at what they consider to be common men and women. So,
Yeah, a lot of people are realizing that it's going to take more than a slogan to make America great again because a, a lot of people that voted that way are finding out that a lot of the stuff that they thought was going to happen to the other side is happening to their side. It's happening to both sides. So it's um it's a sad state, man, that we can't get leaders in elected in office that are for the people. I was watching this one video. The guy was practically chasing his congressman down the hall, asking her why did she vote to cut Medicaid, and she was just like a roach, man. Like when you turn the lights on, she's just scattering, trying to get away from him asking the question. And and I've seen another one where people are asking, "Do you support America over Israel?" And they run; they won't answer the question. So we keep electing these people to tell us what to do while they're making big money, come in making 170,000 something a year, leaving out millionaires. So we know the game. We just we can't call time out, man.
yeah, I think that the fallacy in the political process, and it always has been for me, is just the divisiveness of the party system.
Yeah, that's how they
Um,
survive, divide and conquer.
yeah, they intentionally want the people divided. So, just as people are finding out now that uh, the grass might not be greener on this side. They should have found out prior when Biden was in office that the grass has actually been on fire and hasn't had enough water added to it for hundreds of years now. So there
Right?
is no
Yeah.
side that the grass is going to be greener on until the people actually take a stand and decide, you know what, we're going to clean out the weeds, get rid of the insects, and start watering the lawn again of our own volition. And so, um, yeah, that divide and conquer game. Well, this person's going to do better than this one, and we start taking sides like it's a NBA matchup or a Super Bowl matchup,
Hmm.
and neither side is for us. Their pockets are going to get fat. They're going to go home well fed, win, lose, or draw. The demon rats, they're not in whether they're in power or not, they're going to eat well. The Republic clan, whether they're in power or not, those representatives are going to eat well, while the
Yeah.
people are down here scouring just to figure out how they're going to pay these high gas prices, figuring out how they're going to these food bills. You go in and buy one plastic bag of food, not even filled up, and you've almost spent $100. I just did it yesterday, and it's like, and then I come back and I pour 8 items out for almost $100.
Hey,
And
but
then
that,
I go down the aisle, John, and I'm looking and I'm like, do you know that? And I don't know that too many people are paying attention to this, but why is almost every item $5?
hmm,
I
that's
mean, when you do the breakdown, almost everything. Why is almost each item five? So 10 items, you're well over 50 some bucks with tax.
yeah, that's Putin's inflation, man. Putin did
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. The Russians did it. The Russians did it. Yeah.
that.
You know it's funny. It's funny when people, and I know we have an itinerary here to keep, but when they talk about the Russians, what's interesting is that um and I'm not taking sides on either. I don't have a dog in the race, but if we're just doing history and just keeping things a buck,
Mhm.
um, the Russians were never involved in the slave trade. The Russians never had slaves. The Russians never invaded any African country and became a colonial power. During the during
Colonialism.
the
Yep.
Emancipation Proclamation, or during the Emancipation, the Russian Tsar actually told Abe Lincoln, "You want to win? Free the slaves, and we will set up ships on the coast of the U.S. to
Yep.
help you." And they did that.
They did
And
that. Yeah.
then the globalists killed both the Tsar of Russia and Abe Lincoln afterwards, as we both know.
Yep.
And so you had the globalists back then, but Russia has never, for all the talk of Putin did this and Putin did that, Russia has never. They actually helped during the slave trade for the emancipation. They did not become an occupying force in any African country. I mean, these are just the facts. Now, people
Yeah.
can be mad, but these are the facts. And I'm not taking sides, but what I am doing is saying this is the history,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. Russia is the one country that has shown that there was actually a black Madonna and a black baby.
Hmm.
When we talk about the revealing of who Jesus really was. And in Russia, it's interesting because they revere a brother by the name of Pushkin
Pushkin.
over
Yeah.
there. He was a poet, he was an artist, but he many Russians revere him as giving them their language too. And so read up on Pushkin. So I'm
Yeah.
again, I'm not taking sides, um, but I do know Russia is also one of the places. I think Roy Jones said he went, and he said it was the first time they treated him like a man. It
Hmm.
was the first time he felt like he was treated like a man.
Yeah.
He said I believe it's Roy Jones. Don't quote me on that. I think it was Roy Jones, but I know
Yeah.
it was a black boxer that went over there, and he said they treated him very well. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that history goes way back, man, because was it 2019, was it 1917 when they had the Russian Revolution, the
Yes.
Bolsheviks did that.
Bolsheviks,
Well, they
yep.
called them Bolsheviks, but they were those other people that, that you can't say anything about.
Yes,
That
exactly.
that's who they really were. And they don't mention that they killed hundreds, thousands of Christians because
Mm,
Russia is a Orthodox Christian nation. They're
mm,
Orthodox Christians. So yeah,
mm,
they don't talk about that a lot. How many Christians were killed by the Bolsheviks. So
mm.
yeah, yeah, man, that's I was telling
Wow.
somebody that the other couple of weeks ago that, we might have been slaves a little bit longer had it not been for Russia
Yeah.
parking their fleet off the coast of off the East Coast and saying, well, okay, if because England and the other, like you said, the other globalists, England, Spain, all those other countries at the time, they were going to get into the war, and Putin said, not Putin, but I forget who the leader was at
Czar.
that time,
Yeah.
but he said if they get in it, we're going to get in it,
Yeah.
and so that held them off, man. So yeah, but we they've always demonized. I don't know what the hate relationship with Russia is, but they just hate them, man. For whatever reason. I think it goes back to some other story I read that um, they had something to do with spoiling one of the Illuminati plans. I don't quote me on that, but
Mm.
they have all long been hated for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and their ability when they were being invaded by Germany, um, and they were losing, but the tenacity of those people, the regular citizens started saying,
Yeah,
nah, and they
and
stood up and pushed them Germans back.
and yeah, and and Trump's gonna go over there and talk about nobody suffered as much as America. Man, America got in the World War II late. Russia had done most of the heavy lifting by the time we got involved in it,
Yeah,
and they suffered. They lost millions of soldiers, defeating the Germans.
yeah.
But Trump's going to come in and he's going to try to change. What was he trying to change? Was it one holiday? He was trying to change the name of it to say that the United States played a large role. We didn't do that big of a role in World War II as we not at least not in the European theater, maybe over
Hmm.
in Asia. But
Hmm.
when it comes to the Germans and Russia pretty much handled that
Hmm. Yeah,
in
yeah,
the European theater.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's something to be said about when I just want people to be aware when they start throwing these names out. And this one-eyed devil called the tell lie vision, they will feed people and they expect people to just, take what they say as the truth. And this is where a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, but this is where they have used this technology to basically slow down our thinking,
Hmm.
to get us not to think, because everything is at our disposal. And then they even want you to be in a position where we say it, that's the truth, that's it, that's all. And when you're thinkers like brothers like myself, yourself, and others, who are thinkers and who are going to research,
Yeah,
we become outcasts. We become a problem. We
yeah,
become, you
pariahs.
know, yeah, we become that group of people that, oh, they're nonconformist because
Yeah,
we don't adhere to groupthink.
yeah. Well, man, on that note, man, you remember the run up to the Trump election. We had this guy who was FBI. He was an FBI agent at the time, but they made him head of the FBI, and he was saying, "Oh, we're going to clean up the Cash Patel. We're going to clean up the
Yes.
we're going to clean up the agency. We're going to move all these people out of here and do this that." This Joker gets on a interview the other day with him and the deputy director, who was he was a former Secret Service agent, I believe, Dan Bongino. Now,
Hmm.
both of these jokers, they were talking about what we what what we would normally call conspiracy theories,
Mm.
back then. But now they're going to come out and say that Epstein killed himself.
Yeah.
Epstein killed that, so that's their official story.
Yeah.
Epstein killed himself. There was anything else is a conspiracy theory. Now these were supposed to be two truth tellers that are coming out and getting the record straight. And they're
Yeah.
falling right in line, man. As and even Tulsi Gabbard, everybody thought she was going to be this bright light, and they all flip, man. It's no it's there's no difference.
I said it years ago. You don't, and I think that we should have seen there have been some examples with probably the most notable to me anyway is Cynthia McKinney. I've always said that when you get in that, you don't get up there in that position
Right.
unless they have some dirt on you, unless they can flip you. No revolutionary mind is going to get in that position to make the necessary changes. It's not going to happen in the movie industry. It's not going to happen in the music industry. It's not going to happen in governmental political industry. It's just not. The
Yeah.
people that get I mean, when you think about it, and I just want people to think that you get a platform. I mean, and they give examples. Michael Jackson, probably one of the biggest entertainers, not only of our time, but of any time on the planet. Like he literally had billions, literally, people would be flocking to him
Yeah.
everywhere he went. When he spoke about the music industry, they killed him not too much longer after that. Same thing with Prince. Same
Yeah.
thing with Whitney Houston. When these people went to get their masters and decided that they wanted to be free, like, and so that's the music industry, the
Hmm.
political industry. People always say what we're going to do. Trump. Oh, we're going to lock Hillary up. None of the Clintons
Yeah.
nobody's locked up. Nobody's in jail. Nobody's doing time.
You know what? As a matter of
Not
fact,
even Trump. Nobody's doing time.
yeah,
So, I mean, come on.
after he said that, he come out and says, we're not going to go after the Clintons. They're good people. They,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
on another note, on the record industry, you see Salt and Pepper. They're going after the rights to one of their songs, Push It.
yes, yes,
And so they better watch out. They're trying to get get their music back, get control of their music back in under their control. And when you start trying to do that, and anybody that bucks the system, and I've told you that before, you can always tell who is a threat or who merely poses as a threat by who's still walking around.
yes.
And if you're a real threat, you ain't going to be walking around a whole lot long, very long, if you don't have the right kind of protection around you.
That's pretty much that's pretty much an accurate statement, John. I know that there's a brother. It's kind of again off subject, but to go in line with what you're saying, just the young brother who's been getting death threats, Yaki Awaken.
Hmm.
He's been helping people on the medical front with herbs.
Yeah,
Well, who's he a threat against? The
big
pharmaceutical
fun.
companies. Because when you start healing people with herbal remedies, we can't have that.
No,
There was a post the other day. It wasn't even a post. It was a white guy talking about what's one of these big companies, these big pharmaceutical companies.
Pfizer,
Pfizer,
he's not Eli Lilly.
Pfizer, no, Pfizer. He
Yeah.
said, he said Pfizer's been around since what, the 1800s? He says they haven't healed one person. They haven't healed one person. They've given medicine to people, but they haven't healed and cured one person.
Right.
And so when you take it in its totality, it's like, these are mafia type regimes. So you're right. UMC, Universal Music Group, or
Yeah.
UMG,
And
the Salt and Pepper, they better be very careful.
yeah, on the music, on the doctor end, there's this black doctor, I think her name was Jennifer Daniels. She had to leave the country because she started treating her patients with turpentine, and they were getting healed. And I remember when I was a kid, man, if you got sick, you got some castor oil and you got some turpentine.
Yeah.
And now it's like castor oil and any natural remedy. But you remember back, it was a few years ago, all of those natural doctors were coming up dead.
Yeah, I was doing the look it up segments on them. I got to 90 when I
Yeah,
stopped. Was 90
not
dead. Dr.
not
Sebi was in that
yeah,
90 dead health. These weren't medical doctors. These were herbal
natural
doctors.
healers. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
And the sister that you mentioned, what's interesting about her story, she actually broke down the tier system that you go through
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to get your medical degree.
Hmm.
And she said all doctors aren't the same. There's a tier system. And she said that she ended up being on the highest tier. I think she went to a college in Pennsylvania, if I'm correct. But she started practicing in upstate New York,
Yeah,
and she was working with the pharmaceutical company. And she said she started these treatments, this turpentine treatment, and some other things that were actually healing her patients.
yeah,
And she said she got a visit from the pharmaceutical company. Said basically two henchmen came to her office and said, "Hey, what's going on?" Said they sat down and had a talk and told her, "Hey, you got to get back on. No, you got to get back on these pharmaceuticals. We
hmm
don't want you doing this over here." Now she's her own
yeah.
entity
She
at
had her
this
own
point.
practice. Yeah.
Yeah. Said she didn't do it. Said the next thing she came back to her office, it was wrecked. Then she
Hmm.
started getting phone calls saying, "Hey, it's going to ramp up. It's going to get worse for you unless you." She had to exile. I think she exiled in Panama.
Yeah, she's at. I forget where she's at, but she left the country long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And on that
yeah.
note, Cynthia McKinney left the country for a while, didn't she?
Uh, I
I,
think she did, and I think Cynthia, even when she came back, she had to walk around with bodyguards for a while. I don't know if she's
yeah.
still walking around with them. Yeah,
Yeah,
she had to leave for a
I
minute.
remember one time she commented on one of something you posted. She said, "I was like, who is this guy? I need to meet him."
Yeah, we had a conversation. It was great. It was great.
Yeah,
I love Cynthia and her. She does a lot of. I like a lot of her posts on Twitter. She's still doing her thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But you notice though, man, I noticed a little off the topic, but still on the vein of people waking up. That little country over there in the Middle East used to could do no wrong, but I think they have pushed the limit a little bit too far this time with what they're doing to the Palestinians because they're starting to get pushback. And I think one of the stories we want to talk about later is Trump's they're trying to pass some regulation for colleges and universities against anti-Semitism and this, that, and the other thing. And it's a smokescreen, man. And it's a shame that our leaders are so subservient that they will put the state of another nation above their own. You have dual citizens in Congress. Why are you? How is that? You should be if you're not a full American citizen, you shouldn't be allowed to be a congressman or a senator. But I think they've stretched it a little bit too far this time, and some of the nations, except for their big brother, the U.S., they're still standing by him. They,
well,
we,
what's interesting, John, is again the propaganda machine. I call it tell lie vision.
yeah.
Do you know the three major channels, ABC, NBC, CBS? When you look at the owners and the
Hmm.
top execs, all of them,
But they claim
all of them,
they have no power. We don't. But
yeah,
they can get people shut down. They have no power, but they can get you.
yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean,
it's
when
it's
you look
crazy.
at there was a breakdown. I wish I still had that map from years ago because it actually named all of them.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Yeah,
I've seen that chart with the
yeah,
different media companies.
yeah, all of them,
Yeah.
all three networks,
You know,
and yeah, you get shut down.
yeah. Um, Even on Paramount, somebody spoke up and said something. One of the guy from 60 Minutes, one guy that's from 60 Minutes has stepped down, and
Mhm.
because he said something, and so one of the backers from there came up and tapped somebody on the shoulder, said, you know, we need to change that. So instead of him backsliding on what he said, he quit.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
don't find many people that do that. Once they get that tap on the shoulder, they will fall in line. But they lost a lot of subscriptions off of
Mm.
that. So yeah, it's we're fighting, we're winning some battles, man. But this one at home, I know we haven't talked about the tariff issues. You see, I think we talked about last time Amazon was going to put down the price of what the tariff added to their cost of bringing in products, and they kind
Yes.
of backed down on that. And then now the latest is Walmart. Walmart is, I think Trump just came out and said something, just told Walmart to eat the tariffs.
Yeah.
So
I saw
Walmart's going
that.
to put they were going to put the price, show the price of what the tariffs added to it, and all of most of the financial guys that I've listened to agree that don't tariffs are passed on to the people. Tariffs are a tax because, like I said, if you have to pay extra to get something in, somebody when they buy it, you're gonna have to charge extra or add that price onto the add that tax onto the price of the original item. So there's no way that China is paying the tariff. They're charging the tariff, but we end up paying the tariff.
Well, this is business. This is business and politics 101, my brother.
Hmm.
This is the this is one of those shady moves that, you know, I make it sound like I'm doing something over here to Jim, but I'm really doing it to you. And
Mhm.
me and Jim are actually sitting back laughing because Jim knows it's not coming out of his pocket. I know it's not coming out of my pocket. You said it a couple of weeks back, and it's just the truth. You know, the one of the last measures that a falling empire does is it eats its own people.
Yeah.
It starts feeding on its own people economically, and that's what's happening right now. It's unfortunate.
And yeah, the financial stuff, man. There's a lot of stuff going on under the that isn't getting broadcasted a whole lot. A lot of these major financial uh, entities are I get they're doing some kind of magic, man, because the numbers aren't adding up, and we keep the U.S. just lost its AAA credit rating a couple of weeks ago, so that
Mhm.
means the interest rate they have to pay is it's like you got a low credit score, you don't
Yeah,
get the good deal. Now we've got a low credit score, and they were paying I think like the interest on the debt is greater than the um military um defense budget. So it's like $1 trillion or something that we're paying in interest on the debt, which is 36 trillion. It was 30 something then. It was growing $1 trillion every 100 days at one point. I don't know if that stopped yet or not, but you just can't keep going like that. So
right.
sooner or later, um, the dollar is most people thought it would have been gone by now, but
Yeah.
um, for some reason it keeps hanging on, man. But it's
Hanging on
it's
by a thread.
yeah, a thin thread. It's just getting longer in the
But
tooth, bro.
But I did see there is some hope because
Uh-oh.
I saw Bitcoin go up to 105,000. I'm like, and
Opium.
somebody told me that this year it was going to go up to they said for sure it's going up to, and I don't believe it. I have to see it, but they said for sure it's going over 1 million this year. I think they said like 2.5. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. But it's kind of moving. It's having its fluxes, but I think it's at its highest point,
Well, yeah,
one
they've
of
been
its highest.
yeah, one I think what was it at? It was at 109. Um, I don't know if that's an all it's 107,000 right now.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I don't know if that's an all-time high, but it's pretty close.
yeah.
But yeah, they've been selling a lot of these what they call ETFs, electronic traded funds of Bitcoin. So a lot
Hmm.
of people don't buy it. A lot of the major corporations that started selling Bitcoin, they're selling the ETF. They're not actually selling Bitcoin.
Hmm.
But it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm still holding on to my little bit, see what happens with it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I want to backtrack too. Just my theory, John, on Epstein. I
Yeah,
got him being on some island somewhere living
yeah,
well.
yeah. That's one theory too.
Yeah. I
But
mean, I just,
I think they even had a commercial about that one time, man, where the people, there were certain people, they were on this little island, a lot of celebrities.
Marilyn
Uh,
Monroe, Tupac,
yeah,
I saw
there
that, I
was a
saw that
commercial like
commercial.
that once, you know. So they
Mhm.
show us in plain sight. They show us what they're doing, man. You know, we think it's a movie or we think it's just a book or a novel, but um, according to some of the people that have spoken out and know about these things, is part of their karma is they have to tell us what they're doing, and it's up to us to figure out, okay, this is what's going to happen. But they don't just come out and say, oh, we're going to do this. Of course, they put it in movies, they put it in books, they put it in music,
Exactly.
and that's their way of releasing themselves of their karma. We told you, you just didn't pay attention.
Exactly. Exactly. And well, yeah, that's my theory is that he just knew too much, and I don't have him being stupid enough to have all that information and
No,
not
man. Yeah, there's no
get it to
way.
somebody as hey, I die, this gets out.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah. You
so
know he did, man. And plus he was connected with the Mossad. That's rumored that he was part of that, and
yeah,
they take care of their own. So I don't think he's dead.
yeah,
I don't know where he's at, but I don't think he's pushing up daisies, as they say.
no, no, nowhere even close, nowhere close. But I do think there's starting to be more exposure from that element, especially with this this what's being talked about with this Diddy case, and that's a whole nother story too. But I think more people are getting exposed as they should be.
Yeah.
Um, it's the devil's den, and
Hmm.
so it needs to be exposed.
I
Um,
saw a story that a bunch of those parties took place in Trump's one of his hotels. A bunch of those freak offs that they were talking about took place in the Trump place.
yeah, yeah, I've read that too.
Yeah.
Um, so again, just that exposure, everything's coming to light. We're in the age of Aquarius, so
Hmm.
they're trying to hold on to power for dear life, but there's a lot of things being exposed too. So
Yep.
then you got scientists raise alarm over sudden deaths among professional bodybuilders.
Hmm.
Male
Yes.
bodybuilders are facing a high risk of sudden death from heart problems, scientists warn in a new study.
I wonder what that could be from.
Mm. Exactly.
I'm not gonna speculate, but I got my thoughts. I also saw this story, man.
Mm.
Sean Dawkins, football player,
Yes.
52, died of a heart attack.
Young,
Yeah.
young, 52 years old.
So yeah, man, something's going on.
Yeah.
You remember we used to see all these guys just passing out on the soccer field and
Yeah.
just dropping like flies, man. So
Yep. Exactly.
that's gonna continue to happen. I don't
Yep.
unfortunately,
Yep.
I think that's
Yeah.
gonna continue to happen, bro.
Mm. Sad too.
But
Sad too.
on a good note, man, you did you see that sister that was lost up in the mountains for like 3 weeks?
Yeah, I just saw that story yesterday, John, and I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
for
So
her to survive.
yeah,
Tiffany Slayton.
she was from Georgia, up in the mountains in Fresco County, California.
Yep.
Says she took shelter in an unlocked cabin, and okay, so that's how she made it out. Yeah, but even then, you know,
Yeah.
she was
Well,
she
I
had to.
think I think during that 3 week period, she also encountered like several storms that she had to survive through that.
Yeah, yeah. They said the snow blocked many roads, making the effort to get her out difficult. But yeah, man, that's a story with a good ending. We don't get too many of those, especially
Yeah,
when we're involved and lost. They don't spend a lot of time looking for the
exactly.
you know, there's been
Well, that you,
somebody.
That entails some conditioning too, John. I don't know what her level of conditioning, but
Yeah, yeah,
you start going without food for 3 weeks if you haven't prepared. Not that it can't be done because it can, but if you haven't prepared for that, that can be a total shock to the body. Like,
yeah.
it sounds like
So,
she was in pretty good shape.
yeah,
Um,
so big props to that sister, man. 'Cause I don't know if I could have made that one.
yeah, yeah,
Not 3 days, 3 weeks.
yeah. And
So,
then you got Chicago mayor. Always Chicago. There's always something going on in the go. Chicago mayor investigated by Trump's DOJ for remarks about hiring black officials
imagine that.
into Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson after he touted his majority black staff during a church service. Mm,
Yeah, so they're gonna charge him with violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964.
yeah,
They're gonna a black man. They're gonna charge him with a civil rights violation, or they're trying to charge him with a civil rights violation because he hired black people.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Man,
yeah,
I'll tell you, we in the upside down, man.
yeah. Well. I, I think that we haven't mastered playing the game like them. Because the game is hire your people and keep your mouth shut. There's no
Yeah,
need to tout it. There's no need to
exactly.
say anything. You're
Just
you
do it.
do what you're gonna do, you know. But when you say it and everything's being recorded these days, you said it up, got you. We got him. Call in the DOJ.
Yeah.
Uh,
And did you see the mayor? Was it the mayor of
New
city
York.
in not in New Jersey that they
Okay.
arrested for trespassing because he was trying to get into one of those ice sites in New Jersey.
Mm,
They arrested him for trespassing, man.
no, I
And
didn't hear about that.
yeah, he wanted to, he was there with people, some people from Congress or some other, I think they were from Congress or senators, and
Okay.
they were trying to get in to see what was going on, and
Mm-hmm.
ICE like locked them up, man. And
Wow.
they're getting to the point now that see Trump's trying to say they can deport anybody.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Even American citizens. And I saw that. I think it was and it might have been a white guy that was saying it that, if they suspend, he said, if they suspend habeas corpus, then that means we don't have to listen to the police. The police are just like any other person.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah, let's see how that works because
yeah,
they're kind of doing their own thing now and have been doing their own thing now for a minute. So,
but
um,
I didn't know that that guy was it Denton, Randy Denton.
yeah, Rodney.
I didn't know that happened in Cincinnati, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I was,
yeah,
I don't know how I missed it, but I knew what happened. But yeah, you see what happened when they flipped the script on him, man.
yeah, yep,
And
yeah. Wow.
I don't, I hate to see anybody go anyway, but you can push people only so far, man.
Yeah,
And either they snap or they just say, oh, okay, this is it, this is what it is. And we keep seeing these. We seeing these videos, and I don't even watch them anymore. Police just being ignorant. Instead of trying to de-escalate the situation, they're trying to push it, to
escalated.
where it doesn't even need to go.
Exactly.
Like they're little gods running around on Earth. Anything I say it goes.
Yeah,
And they're gonna start running into the wrong people. I was telling somebody that these young guys, the stuff that happened back in the 50s and 60s,
yeah,
they ain't going for it.
no,
They ain't going for it. You see those two people that walked into an Atlanta place with Klan outfits on
yeah.
and got whacked.
Got ran. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so this is if it comes down to that, it ain't gonna be like it used to be.
Well, you're seeing it now. I mean, you're seeing more high-speed chases. People are saying, I'm not stopping to get shot.
F the
I
police.
yeah, I just rather take my chances out racing you. If I crash, I crash. Um, you had a case of a young brother, you know, and the cops seemed nice. stopped him, told the guy to get out the back. He said, "Yeah, give me a minute." He came out with that damn AK-47 and started letting loose on him. And I mean, they got him eventually, but yeah, I mean, when you add in, when you the crazy thing is that the law if the law of inversion always takes place. So you add in the chemtrails, you add in the pesticides from the food, you add in the water and the chemicals that are in the water and all of these things that have played into the body and minds of this generation now, because we can't discount those things. Fast food, all of these things have played in. Now you have a recipe for people that they're not going for it. They're just as crazy in some cases as the people who are trying to be crazy with them. So, and it probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but food, air, water, yeah, all of those things that have chemicals in them are affecting the minds and
Hmm.
bodies of the people.
I think a couple of states have banned. Might have been Florida, might have been one of them that supposedly have banned chemtrails, and a few more that they're talking about taking fluoride out of the water.
Mm,
Um, and they're getting pushback on that, which fluoride. When they handle fluoride, it's like a hazardous material.
yes.
So,
Yeah.
and even like, even on the back of the lips of the lipstick, the toothpaste label, they say if swallowed, go to a doctor or something like that. So, but you can brush your teeth with it, but don't swallow it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and people are like, we've been so indoctrinated. Oh, fluoride, we need fluoride for our teeth. I stopped using fluoride toothpaste like years ago, man. There's a local health food store here that they sell,
Hmm.
health food stuff, and they have toothpaste, but no, without fluoride in it.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any increase in cavities.
No, no, no. I mean, well, you can go to the local Trader Joe's, and
Yeah.
they sell them there too. A lot of the stores are more of the stores are selling them now, but they do have some brands that are better than others.
Hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, fluoride is definitely. I stopped that years and years ago.
Yeah. And another thing too, man. There's a lot of people who are, I guess, what do they call it? Buyer's remorse that voted for Trump.
Yeah,
And then a lot of these things that he's pushing it's not just hurting people that voted for him or didn't vote for him, it's hurting everybody.
yeah.
And I think I saw a couple of people, say that their farm, they're having to shut down their farms and other stuff, man. So it's I don't know how we come out of this one, bro. Trump keeps going around saying that this is the last election, that this will be the last election. And does he know something we don't know? I don't know,
Yeah.
but um, it's gonna be dicey, especially when we get the midterms coming up. I think if people get out and vote, does it count or not? I mean, I don't know. They got so many ways of rigging up stuff. You never know if it's straight or not. But at a certain point, it gets too big to rig.
Yeah.
If the numbers are too great, then you can't fake it. But I'm sure they're going to be trying.
Well, on a bright note, because you are right, John, about the buyer's remorse. Um, yeah, many people are disappointed, but I think that even there's a light at the end of the tunnel for them because uh, for the viewers and I don't know that we have them on our channel, but the ones that voted for Trump,
Hmm.
you can be pleased with the fact that uh, his Trump and his administration just accepted a luxury jet from Qatar
Yeah.
that they're going to use as Trump's Air Force One jet. So, I mean, it's probably not going to help you and your family, but you can rest assured and be proud that your president is flying around the country in a luxury jet from Qatar. I mean, a jet that you'll never get in with him, but I mean, it just let's cheer on Trump for that,
Yeah,
it's the luxuries of life, right?
yeah, it's the boggles mind, man. You know, you're not supposed to be able to take gifts like that from foreign leaders.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so, but he's the Donald, so I guess he can get away with it. But
yeah, yeah. Unbelievable.
it is, man,
People
and
starving, and he's riding around on Lear jets donated by the countries.
still, still sending money to Ukraine and Israel though. But they're going to cut Medicaid, but we got billions of dollars to send over to stop Putin from doing. They keep saying he wants to take over Europe. Putin doesn't want to take Europe. He just wants what's his.
Yeah,
So
and they're still sending money to Ukraine. If
yeah.
that doesn't let you know something right there.
So and Trump keeps saying, "Oh, this is Biden's war." Well, if it's Biden's war, Biden's not sending the money over there now. So who's sending money now?
Yeah, exactly.
That should have been stopped. It should have never started. But of course, he said he could end the war in 24 hours.
Yeah. Well,
It's been a long 24 hours,
it's
and
been a long 20.
he was gonna stop taxing on tips and Social Security.
Yeah.
But it's
Well, oh yeah, yeah, you're right.
still get they somebody was getting grilled on the Hill the other day asking them did this bill reduce or stop eliminate taxes on Social Security and tips, and the answer was no. So oh, they keep saying promises made, promises kept. Yeah, right.
Well, and then if they're really serious about stopping wars, it seems like the Navy SEALs aren't trying to stop the race war because
Huh.
racist memes shared by Navy SEALs prompt investigation, disciplinary actions. The two enlisted Team 4 members are being punished for developing racist memes targeting a black sailor in their platoon and circulating them in a group chat with other team members, according to the official who spoke on condition of anonymity to provide details of an ongoing investigation. The
Hmm.
memes depicted the sailor as a slave, according to visuals viewed by the Associated Press. Hmm,
Yeah.
this was a very, this always gets me. This was a very shocking case.
Yeah,
Really?
right.
From a racist country. Shocking case of explicit and repeated racist memes directed at our client in a platoon wide text thread, said Timothy Plator, the sailor's lawyer, referring to the memes shared over a signal chat.
Hmm.
Huh.
Yeah,
They
man.
modified his face in photos to look like a monkey and portrayed him as a chained slave on a slave ship, among others. And
Hmm.
he's got to go out to sea with these guys and fight with them.
Yeah, yeah.
With
So
you with friends and warrior with friends and soldiers like those, who needs enemies?
that's
It's,
why I would not recommend anybody join the military. Even though I'm a veteran,
yeah,
um, I would not encourage any young person that I know to join any branch of the service because it's I mean you see how they treated people when we had that the jab thing going on. They put them
mhm,
out. Now they're trying to get them to come back because they can't meet recruiting numbers.
yeah,
And they're talking about fighting Russia. The United States has not won a war since I don't know when. I mean, we didn't win in Afghanistan. We spent 20 years in Afghanistan. And
yeah,
what happened? We left out of it, just left all the equipment over there, left all kind of rockets and millions of dollars worth of gear.
yeah,
We didn't win in Vietnam.
yeah, no,
Vietnamese said these guys said, we were never worried about it because we knew that one day they would have to go home.
yeah,
They say we won World War II. Okay, I'll give you a little bit of that one. You
yeah.
know, um, but yeah, man, it's
Oh, I'm sorry
right
for laughing,
right
John.
now it's like I was listening to an analogy. The United States is like that old punch drunk boxer that was knocking people out in his heyday, but now he doesn't have the same swag that he used to have, but he thinks he still got it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but he
You
ain't
know,
got it.
it's funny because I come from a military family too, and my uncles, they some of my uncles went to war. As a matter of fact, I think all my uncles that were in the service were in war.
Yeah.
And my stepfather, he was 30 years military, and my mother begged me, don't
Hmm.
go in the military. She begged me. And I look at some of the benefits that they get. Um, but I also look at a country that I look at some of the benefits, and it's I think that everybody that has enlisted should be treated well.
Yeah.
But I also look at the mistreatment. I see homeless veterans all
Hmm.
up and down the street
Yep.
begging for food. Like to me, you should never be hungry in a country that you went to war to defend,
Hmm.
or in a country that you enlisted in their military with the possibility of you having to go to war and defend. Fuck you having gone to war.
Yeah.
If you enlisted and you did time and you were honorably discharged, I should not see you on a street corner begging for food, talking about I will work for food. I'm a veteran. Please help me. Like that's despicable, but that speaks to the nation that we live in. And it also speaks to the people that live here that your freedoms, quote unquote, perceived freedoms, because
Hmm.
that's the first thing you talk about is your freedoms, but you won't even make sure that the person who went to fight for you is taken care of.
Hmm.
American citizens. And this is why the politicians treat us like they do, because we can't even take care of our own.
Nope. Yeah. So yeah.
And 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 we consider, I mean, if we're just being real, we consider one another enemies. We're enemies to one another.
Exactly.
The
You,
Republicans don't like Democrats. People are getting in full-blown fist fights over their party.
hmm.
But but these same people, their sons are supposed to go to war, their daughters are supposed to go to war and fight for your freedoms, and your divided country. The idiocracy in all of it is sickening.
Yeah. Yeah. I still remember that that clip I saw when they asked Muhammad Ali, would he step forward? And he was like, nope. He said, them Chinamen they ain't North Vietnamese haven't done anything to me.
Yeah,
And so yeah, man, it's the United States could be so much better than what it is, bro. It's just, we really could be the land of plenty, but
you got to have the right people in office for that.
yeah, yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't.
No, we don't. You know, even even just looking at how we always put down like China and Russia and those countries that I think I don't know if I shared the video with you or not, but this Chinese guy that was talking about how um we don't need a you don't need you don't need a terrorist, you need a revolution.
Yeah,
It was talking to Americans like, Americans they took the jobs and sent them over here to us, not to make profit, not to help us, but to make profits for themselves.
yeah,
And you hollowed out your middle class, and now the jobs that used to go to people that would do here in factories and working in the textile industry and making stuff, all that stuff's done over in China and different other not North Viet, but Vietnam and other places.
yeah,
But nobody forced them to put those factories over there. The American industrialists did that so they could make more profit off of cheap labor.
yeah,
And now the net result is the United States doesn't really make anything except for bombs. We still make a lot of bombs,
yeah. We're consumers.
but as far as products, look at what happened to Detroit. That once booming economic center of industry. Look at it, and the iron mines and stuff. They've just pretty much hollowed out the best part of this country for profit for the 1% or whoever, but not for the everyday Joe on the street.
No, I think oh, what's that brother's name? Um, was something Cook. He broke it down so brilliantly in the 80s. He said that um, basically uh, 1% of the population controls 78 to 90% of the wealth and resources.
Yeah.
And so when you break that up, that means that the other 99% have to fight over anywhere from 10 to 22% that's left. So if you make a cake and you only have 22% of the cake out of 100% and 99% of the population that's left has to fight over that 22%, well,
Fighting over
I mean,
crumbs.
easy math says that there's just not enough cake. Somebody's not going to eat. And it's a great number of people that aren't going to eat if it's 99% and they got to fight over 22%. So, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
we're in some interesting times.
but I know you mentioned Bitcoin a little while ago. Another thing that's been moving up financially has been gold.
Yes.
Gold has been hitting all-time highs, and I think the IMF passed something that's going to make gold a tier one asset, which means it's on the level of U.S. Treasuries and the dollar, which I think that puts it a little bit above U.S. Treasuries and the dollar because gold is not anybody's third party risk. If I have gold and I have it in my possession,
Hmm.
no, no one else has control of that but me.
Yeah.
So they're going to require these. Um, they're going to make gold a tier one asset, and we'll see how that works out because they're claiming it's going to threaten the dollar.
Mm.
Well, the dollar's threatened itself by putting all these sanctions on people. People are getting tired of if you don't do what we say, we're going to put sanctions on you, and they
Right.
sanction you by keeping you out of the financial system.
Exactly.
So that's why the BRICS and all these nations are forming their own economic alliance to bypass that.
Yep.
And it's some good stuff to see happening in the world, man. I know you've been paying attention to the young brother over in Africa
Yeah.
who's just disrupting everything, kicking out the French, kicking them out of his country. And you
Yep.
see he was Ibrahim Traore. They sent the AFRICOM. They say, oh, he's a terrorist and he's stealing the gold reserves
Yep.
to protect himself. And he was like, no, there were no gold reserves until we took over. All
Hmm.
the gold was being shipped over to France, and so yeah, he's he's turning up the heat, and they're going to try to turn the heat up on him. They sent this American general. I guess he was in charge of AFRICOM. He's one that said he was a terrorist and stealing money. But then they
Yeah.
show him, he's building houses for the people, pretty much like Gaddafi did. You say what you want to say about Gaddafi, but Libya was one of the richest nations in Africa
Yeah.
until they took him out because he was killing his own people. So they
Yeah.
say.
Exactly.
So
Well, yeah, this Ibrahim Tori, he he really he's doing God's work over there. That's
yeah,
the bottom line. He's doing God's work, and it's long overdue. Many people don't even know how that system is working. They don't realize that the the French were actually, and this is not there's certain parts of the Caribbean they were doing it in as well, where they charge
yeah.
taxing the people for slavery.
Hmm.
Because though they're saying that now slavery's been over for so long, but they're saying that those families who enslaved that was their way of making a living. And so we have to tax you in order because we can't just take the slaves and well, wait a minute. What are you talking about? This inhumane act. You're worried about the family who enslaved the people.
Yeah.
You're worried about them still eating. And then not only that, but the resources because we were making so much money as a country. So now we have to tax you. You can't just cut off our lifeline like that. And so it allowed them to stay in these countries, set up beachheads, and continue to exploit the people and steal the resources.
Yeah.
So he's putting an end to that.
Yeah. And
And I mean, I think it's beautiful.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Long overdue.
Then you see, Trump's so hard on immigrants, but he's bringing these what 50 something white South Africans,
Right.
bringing them over.
Yeah.
And I saw there was a whole other story behind that. They were, yeah. So the hypocrisy, man, is just over the top. They don't want these people, but if you got the right color skin, you can get in.
Exactly. I want to play a piece here, John, talking about this Ibrahim, because I thought it was very brilliant how he put this.
And how do you intend to defend Burkina Faso's image on the international stage in the face of this type of discourse?
Anyway, we are free to establish relations with whomever we want. That's independence. So on this point, they can continue to think what they want. We will go where we want, provided that this partnership can be mutually beneficial for each party. Regarding his remarks, as you said, we protested through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. That's one thing. But I don't know what happened with this general. There is a concern, and I hope perhaps that he makes his best mea culpa. If he was sent, then he should understand that it's not the right mission. If he was misled, he should say it publicly, or if he was wrong before the Senate, or if it's bad intention, well, we will confront him as necessary, because everything he said is a lie. And it's very vile to see an adult lie, to see an adult general officer of a great army lie. It's very serious. First, he talks about Burkina Faso's gold that we supposedly use for our protection and everything. First of all, it's Burkina Faso's gold. It's not his gold. That's the first thing. What business is it of his? It's none of his business. It's Burkina Faso's gold. It doesn't concern him. Secondly, he lied because Burkina Faso never had gold reserves until we arrived. We are the ones who started reserving gold in the treasury of Burkina Faso. Otherwise, there wasn't a single gram of gold reserve in Burkina Faso. That means he's a liar again. The other thing, when he says we use it for protection and everything, we are free. If the people decided that we govern them, we have a duty to protect ourselves. So, we are free. What business is it of his? And the aspect that hurt me the most, not because he's a general or because he's American or whatever, it's because he's black. And it hurts a lot to see that they use a black man to fight a black man. And that hasn't started now. It has to stop. It's very dangerous. Even Libya, they destroyed Libya. They still used a black man. In American movies in the past, black people always play the bad role, but we thought it was just in the movies. But why must black people continue to play the bad role? And I think if he heard this interview, he should look in a mirror, be ashamed, go out, say that he was given a false report, that he regrets it. He should say it publicly. If it's a false report, someone made it, he should come out and deny it, because you followed when I take our neighbor again. As I say, between us black people. The Ivorian Minister of Defense, who goes to Turkey to see the Turkish Minister of Defense and tells him not to sell us weapons. You see how that hurts when it's a black person who behaves like that? It hurts a lot. If we made a false report, let him come out and deny it. If he was sent to create a problem in Burkina Faso, as they usually do, well, we will prepare. We will wait for them, because it has to stop now.
They can say what they want about that brother. That brother's on his game and he knows what's going on.
Yeah.
He knows what's going on. He's highly intelligent. And I mean, he called it just what you said. Like, we didn't have a gold reserves prior.
Yeah, they've tried to kill him several, I think like 18 or 19 times. They've tried to assassinate him. And he's a long list of African leaders that have tried to do something positive in the continent, and ended up dead.
Yeah.
Like I said, Gaddafi, Ankara, Patrice Lumumba.
Patrice Lumumba, Kwame Nkrumah.
Yeah.
Kwame Nkrumah was the first to come up with the United States of Africa,
Hmm.
and Gaddafi wanted to fulfill that dream. That's
Right.
why he was murdered.
Yeah. So anybody that's trying to unite, they're gonna try to stir it up and not let that happen, man. So yeah, I hope they keep the brother safe, man, and he gets to fulfill his vision and complete the work that he's trying to do. Because if that takes root and they start kicking out all of these colonial powers or whatever you want to call them now, which they shouldn't even be there anymore.
Yeah.
It's gonna usher in a new era because Africa has everything that they need. They don't need to import anything.
No.
They've got some of the most arable, richest land, farmland in the world.
Yep.
They've got the natural resources, but it's always been abused and not used for the people, or either through the colonialism or through their corrupt leaders who are being paid by the colonials to do that. They get rich, and that's one thing you see about that young brother. He instead of buying a fleet of cars, he bought a fleet of tractors
Yeah.
and gave them to the farmers to grow land. I mean, to grow food with.
Yeah.
So so yeah, he's ruffling some feathers, and the people that own those feathers don't like that.
Yeah. Well, he's no different than Putin in the aspect of he just wants his country to be sovereign and to do
Yeah,
their own thing. He's not
and
trying to intrude and be invasive on anybody else. He just wants his own,
yeah, yeah, he was at Putin's. They
Yeah.
had the like, I guess is their equivalent of our Veterans Day or Memorial Day
Yeah.
parade. He attended that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's pretty popular across not just in his country, across the continent, man. I think I think
Yeah.
there was one thing where he was there and he kind of like overshadowed the president or whoever was supposed to be honored. They cheered a lot more for him than they did that guy. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, people like the underdog. People like an underdog, and a lot more countries and a lot more people want to see him win. They look at America as a bully, and
yeah,
America has been a bully.
pretty much, yeah.
They have been. So this
Eight
is
hundred
you reap what you
military
sow.
800 military bases around the world, or 800 plus,
Yeah.
So
Well, we talked about it back in the day. The Vatican is the religion for the world. City of London is the finance for the world, and DC is the military for the world.
yep.
And so
And
that's
that's
it.
the way it is. Remember that?
Yes.
Walter
Yep.
Cronkite.
So this is another segment of Real Life, Real Talk. Please invite friends and families to listen in, bring people over. You can catch this segment on, John's page, his YouTube. I also have a Patreon channel. You can check it out there, Yarima Karama on my Patreon. And yeah, my Patreon is titled We Are the Jewel. So check that out. All of our videos will be posted there as well. So you have different places that you can see them. And of course, I post them online as well on Facebook and such. So you got anything else, John, for future segments? Anything else?
No, man, we'll just, see what kicks off this week, and see what the empire has planned for next. So there's something. Like I say, the devil never sleeps.
That's a fact. That's a fact. Well, until next time, everybody have a great rest of your week. Stay safe, enjoy your family, enjoy living, and stay abreast of what's going on. Make sure you stock up on food and things like that as always, because you never know when the ball's going to drop, if it's going to drop,
Yeah.
especially with these tariffs and things going on. So I know around the country, I'm seeing videos of food shelves being empty. And so just be cognizant of that in your particular area. And with that, we are up out of here.